It's Thursday, and here we go. It's another edition of Buc What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Super Heavyweight. You follow me, I'll follow you back. And I have a couple of special guests. Michael, you're not a guest anymore. You open invitation. But his partner in crime, Mark. Mark, how are you doing tonight? Glad to have you on. Mark is one of the co-founders of Real Bucs Talk. And Mark, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. It's been a long time. I miss y'all guys. Ready to
let's
talk
see that.
about
Let's
football,
see that
right?
shirt, man. Let's see that shirt. These guys have
Hold on a
some pretty
second.
dope ass shirts.
Let me give you the full view. There you go.
There
You
we
want to see the
go.
whole thing?
Yeah, there we go. And then we've got the Cameron Brate shirt. So these are really dope shirts. I love them. Guys, this is the worst time of the season for me because football's not here and it should be here. And we're stuck talking about Rob Kardashian and other crap that doesn't matter about anything. And we should be talking about football. So, I try to keep this going, try to keep things moving along. And, tonight, folks, if you get a chance, please check out realbuckstalk.com. These guys do an amazing job with the stories that they have. And the fact that their stories, I like it because they're unique. They try to do something different and give a different perspective on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And they're pretty true to, what they say. And if you get a chance, once again, go check that out. So, Mark, I haven't had you on since probably before the draft, if I'm not mistaken. Is that?
Yeah, it was. It was.
Yeah, and we really didn't get to communicate much through the draft. And I wanted to, I'm not beating a dead horse. It's a new perspective. What were your thoughts on the draft and free agency, and where the Bucs are now, getting ready for camp?
I had mixed reviews on the draft itself. I mean, I love the first pick. O.J. Howard, loved it. I mean, no one expected him to be there. I'd even project him to be at our pick. That's why I'd even think about O.J. Howard being our selection.
Exactly.
I was thinking, I think I picked Buda Baker when you asked me way back when, because he was the more likely, and I loved Buda Baker as a player.
Yeah.
And we all knew Christian McCaffrey was going to be there. That was me having high hopes. But he's a Panther now, so I hate him. But
yeah, there you go.
moving forward, I mean, some of the other picks, like everyone knows, if they know me on Twitter, I'm not a big Justin Evans fan. He's going to have to prove something to me. Like, I see a lot of missed tackles. I see a lot of bad reads. I see just things you don't want to see consistently bad on tape. Like, I that's why I like Buda Baker so much more.
Right.
And yes, he gives you big hits and everything. But to me, you got to be a sound player, like a fundamentally sound, know where you're supposed to be, make the right play. As a safety, you're the last line of defense. So I didn't that one. Go ahead.
Just, to kind of chime in, I was right there with you. I was kind of like on the line. I wasn't sure what to make of that pick. But, after watching him, I think a lot of the things that you were talking about are coachable things. And I think with the coaching staff that we have and the players that we already have in place, I think that, I guess that's kind of what they're looking at, as a guy that can, he has more of an upside that you can coach him up to be able to play and make big plays and sound tackles.
Oh, I agree there. He's athletically sound. Yeah, he's got the back pedal. He looks like a corner out there. But the thing is like, I wouldn't have him starting day one. No, everyone thinks, he's our second round pick. He's going to be in there immediately. No,
not going
to me, it better not happen. Like, if it is, it's due to injury.
Right.
And that's a weakness already that Drew Brees, Cam Newton, Matt Ryan should have been number one in NFL's top 100. But that's just me. How the hell is the MVP of the league not number one?
And let me ask you, since you talk about the top 100.
Right. I'm sorry.
I don't mean to get on a sidebar here. I'll get back on track shortly.
Yeah.
But since you brought that up, I don't know what I think of the top 100. It's like the power rankings. I think the only rankings that matter are in college football when you're getting ready for a bowl game. This other stuff is subjective because it all depends on which writer or which person you're talking to. So, again, I guess you can't, to me, I don't think you should read a lot into it, because I think Quan And I listened to a podcast today, and somebody said Quan had a bad year last year. That he has a long
Saints fan or something.
No, this was a podcast. This was somebody national. I think it was like an NBC, one of the NBC guys' podcasts. But they said Quan Alexander had a bad year, and basically he didn't show enough improvement. So I guess again, you got to take that kind of thing with a grain of salt. A lot of these guys don't watch the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a regular basis, so they don't know what we know. And, like I tweeted him and told him, dude, you should be glad to fly under the radar because they're going to know who you are. If you stay healthy, they're going to know who you are by the end of the season, I promise. So, I mean, this guy is raring to go. He's ready to get out the gate and hit somebody. And, those are the kind of things I'm excited about. So, kind of getting back to my question, what do you think about this top 100? Do you think there's a lot? I mean, am I off by saying that it's kind of subjective and it all depends on who you're talking to and what they're saying? Or, I mean, what do you think?
Well, it's player based, right? Like the players are choosing it.
Players don't even get to. They don't even get to vote for majority of it. The top 20 they vote on, but the rest of it is all subjective to writers and whoever comes up with the list, TV people. So,
and I'm learning that a lot of writers never played football.
Crap.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't agree with a lot of it. I mean, some of it's like, how the hell are you going to put this guy in front of this guy? But
it's just for TV.
Yeah, that's true. It's just something for people to get excited about, right? Oh,
exactly.
What's the next?
Just kind of like what we're doing right now.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Yep. It's just for debate.
Keeping the weeks flowing, right?
Exactly, because we're getting closer. What are we down to 9 weeks? Are we down to 9 weeks already?
For game one or training camp? Training camp's what? 2 weeks away. 3 weeks away?
Or I guess the first game is 9 weeks away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 weeks away from Hard Knocks. So
oof. You know what? You're not gonna believe this. I'm actually looking forward to it now. I was at Jerk last year that was like, no, man, I don't want to see this team anywhere near Hard Knocks. I'm actually looking forward to it. But just kind of getting back to what we were talking about earlier, this team is really put themselves in a position, and I've heard a lot of people talking about this team on NFL Network, ESPN. They're starting to get some buzz. Now it's going to be up to them to go out on the field and produce and make some plays. And we're talking about these players and the players that we have. There was an article that was written in Real Bucks Talk on June 15th that was talking about the scouts. And to me, I don't think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers scouts, the scouts that they currently have, I don't think they get enough credit for what they do. And I know a lot of people say, no, it's the scouts, it's the luck of the draw. But I think if you look at what the scouts have done in our previous, going back to John Gruden, from John Gruden to Greg Schiano, and then you compare what's been happening with a more organized front office and an organized coaching staff, you could tell a big difference, and the scouts make a big difference in all of this. And Michael, what are your thoughts on that? Because I really don't believe the scouts get as much credit as they deserve.
No, they don't. The scouts have probably the hardest job in the NFL. They're on the road consistently throughout the year, pretty much 5 days. They only get probably a 2-month break period, and then they're back on the road for seeing college players. It's a constant go around. It's difficult. They have to be very precise in what they do as far as their reports, player analysis, and because they're holding the keys to the table when it comes to selecting these guys. They gotta make sure they're presenting the right information to Jason Light, or they're going to be out of a job if they're not doing it correctly. But as far as the Bucs perspective, I think they're just doing a better job as getting the right players for this coaching staff and finding the right fits, which is helping this team get better faster, and it's helping this roster become more complete, which I think is very important.
Yeah, definitely. And as far as the, Mark, I'm gonna get to you here shortly, but you guys can tell a lot more cohesive. You can see a lot more cohesiveness between the general manager, the head coach, the defensive coordinator, and the scouts. Everybody seems to be working more together. When you're seeing these players that are coming in, how often are you saying, man, how is he going to fit into this defense, or how is he going to fit into this offense? You're not really seeing that a lot. You're seeing guys that can play multiple positions and guys that are serious about football. And Mark, I want to get your thoughts on this as well.
No, about the scouts, Mike knows the scouts way more than I do. But like, I've always remember like Jason Light he doesn't give himself credit. He's almost like Winston in this. He always gives his scouts more credit. He always says we always make him seem like he's the smartest man in the room. He says he's the dumbest one. He says he has everyone else that's smarter around him. So it's easy for him to make a decision because the people around him are so much smarter. So like we're giving him so much credit and he's giving everyone else credit. So he said that multiple times, and like it makes sense. Like if you want the smarter people around you to help you make these decisions, and he's making all these right decisions every time he's smiling making these picks, like, oh, we can't believe this guy fell. We took this guy because we believe that much in him. And like,
it freaked me out when I saw that OJ Howard was available at that pick, and nobody had even like looked at him. Nobody had thought about how he would fit into a Buccaneers scheme. So I thought it was awesome to see him, right there.
Yeah. And oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, adding to Mark's point, I mean, if you notice in a lot of my articles, I say Jason Lighton and his staff. I usually put that in my articles because he has a great staff. I mean, the staff he's put around him it's amazing because they're all on the same page. They all kind of think alike as far as personnel goes. And I think that was the biggest problem with the previous regimes. You had that disconnect where it was just front office, and then you had your coaching staff, and it wasn't really where they were looking for the right players for the coaching staff. It was more of just measurables instead of finding the right players to fit this team. And I think Jason Light has done a better job of making sure everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exciting to have a general manager that is a personnel guy, and he can lean on his scouts. He can lean on his defensive coordinator. He can lean on his offensive coordinator for information, and they all work together for the same cause. And you're seeing that culture-wise, and I hate to say that word. I know it sounds like a cliche, but the culture on this team is getting so much better than what it was. I see so much more confidence. And, if you look back on the Mercer years or the right after the Bucs won 10 games with Raheem Morris and they had all the injuries, even when John Gruden was losing in December, you didn't see this type of confidence, this type of cohesiveness, or the culture was different in this time than what we've seen in a while.
Yeah, I agree. It's also like people have their own jobs, like certain rooms. It's not one person's trying to take control. Like Lovey had, I had to be in control of the whole defense. Oh no, but no, I need to be in control of the corners. Like he was trying to keep his hand in everywhere instead of delegating the jobs that he's supposed to. Like Mike Smith is the defensive coordinator, but he delegates all these different positions. So we have so many good coaches. Like Chuck Hayes, he's got D-line down pat. Like no one's going to doubt him about D-line. No one's going to test him. Oh, maybe you should change something up. No, like he's got it down. Mike Smith was a head coach, so he knows how to delegate too. So I think it's really good that we have that for the defense, and no one's talking about the defense just because we didn't draft first pick of OJ Howard for like a defensive side, but our defense is all coming back. And I mean, they're all healthy. We only added to it. So it's like we have so many guys that are in place and coaches that know how to coach their own
and
teams.
This is
like their D-line, linebackers, corners, all of them are set already.
This is what makes Mike Smith so amazing to me. Because he was in our division, I got to watch him. And I know Falcons fans will disagree with me, but I really don't care. I don't think he had the personnel to coach the team like he wanted to. I don't believe he ever had all the pieces in place for this to be his team. So when they fired him, I thought that was just I didn't think that was a very good team, to be very honest. When you lose a Tony Gonzalez and then you don't replace it, somebody with somebody that'll at least give you some more yards, they pretty much, kind of went downhill. And just for him as a head coach to now be the defensive coordinator and answering to other people, it shows a lot about his character as well. And he's doing a great job with what he's doing. And when you look at him, he's a great teacher. So, there's, that's one of the things that I really liked about him is he's a teacher. He's not just, hey, you do this, you do this. He's explaining to these kids why you need to do this. And he's putting them in a position to be successful. I know in the beginning of the season, it didn't look like it, but you could tell at the end of the season where people were realizing their roles and they were getting more comfortable, they were not afraid to go out and make plays. And that's what I expect to carry over into the beginning of this season. This is why I think the beginning of this season will be different than what we saw last season in the beginning.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh, I agree. I mean, just look at Chris Conte at the beginning of the season, and then at the end, he looked terrible at the beginning. Everyone hated him. I hated him. But he did get better. And everyone still remembers him terrible like the Cardinals game. What the hell was he doing?
Yeah.
But he got better. Like, he did get better. You have to admit that. Like, he started understanding where he had to be. He was more preventing plays. He wasn't making he actually was making the Kansas City Chiefs, the Bears. Like, he made plays. Then he got hurt. So everyone still remembers beginning of the year his crapshoot that he just looked like a turd out there. But he did get better. I have to step up for him because I talk so much trash about him, but he did get better. And he's the second best safety in our roster, I think, right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that he's one of those guys that he'll benefit even if he's coming off the bench. Having been in this system, I think he'll definitely be a contributor as the season goes on. Because, let's be realistic, not everybody's going to be healthy. And this is going to be one of those things where the Buccaneers, they're going to they're going to have to be able – they're going to show their character when they're down a player, and we're going to see what they're really made of. And, folks, this is a tough schedule. I don't care what anybody says. You can kind of look at last season. You can throw last season out the window. This is a different schedule. These teams are tough, and, we're going to see just how good the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are. There's a couple of games that you can consider as measuring sticks. One game that sticks out, the New England Patriots. The other game that I think of, the Green Bay Packers. These are two games to really show, where Tampa is versus elite teams. So I'm pretty excited about that.
But yeah, I mean, I'll add to Mark's point about, Chris Conte. You look at Keith Tandy. Just the way he grew, taking over for Chris Conte in those last 5 games. He was outstanding, probably our best player on defense. And then look at Levante David and the way he came up and progressed throughout the season as he was getting more comfortable with the defense. So continuing to make big plays, those two. And then, you look at Noah Spence and just the way he progressed throughout the season. Vernon Hargraves continued to get better. So I'm glad you
brought that up. And I'm going to get back to you just a second. You're talking about Vernon Hargraves. Michael, what are your thoughts? How do you think his season was? If you had to grade it from A to F, how good of a season do you think he had his rookie season?
I thought he did just fine. You look at, he got a lot of targets because, first of all, Brent Grimes was not giving up anything on the other side. So a lot of teams are going at him. He was facing top receivers week in and week out. And for a rookie to do what he did, I thought, especially that Seattle game, I thought the Seattle game was his best game as a pro. He was really lockdown corner that game, really showed his potential. Continued. The Saints game was another good one. He got his interception in that game. Especially during that winning streak, he really progressed as a player and really started to show what he can be as far as a corner in this league. But I thought he did just fine. Again, a lot of people look at his targets and yardage given up and, this and that and the Falcons and Raiders game. And but no, I think he's going to be just fine. And with Brent Grimes on his side, I think that's just going to help him.
Most definitely. And Mark, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I fully agree with what Mike said. I mean, Hargraves, yeah, he had some down games. He's a rookie. Every rookie has an up and down. Jameis Winston wasn't a pro. Oh no, forgive me, he was a Pro Bowl. Wasn't a superstar right out of the box. He threw an interception his first damn pass, and it was for a touchdown. Yeah. So you can't expect your rookies to be Deion Sanders. Right. So I mean, he's fundamentally he's there. Yes, he had some missed tackles, but he's always in the run game. I love him in the run game. The guy has no fear about getting in the box. He's going to get in there. I love him in the run game. Passing game, yeah, he's going to get better. Like, it's his rookie season against the top of the top. He's going to get better. I 100% agree that. And if you haven't noticed, like, everyone's raving about him. And he's what, 21 still? 22?
22.
22 now. But he was a 3-time first-team All-SEC. The only other player that did do that was what, Deion? He's fundamentally sound. Let's put it that way. He's going to get better. I have no doubt in that one.
Yeah, and you know, I know that we're just talking about like OTAs and stuff like that, but the fact that he's more aggressive, I think he's comfortable in the system. He knows what's required of him, and I think that he can produce now. And I have, you know, there are players that I have expectations for. And my guys, like Vernon Hargraves is at the top of the list. Jameis Winston is another person that I have very high expectations that he'll cut down on mistakes and do more with, you know, the weapons that he has. And then the third person is Gerald McCoy. I do expect Gerald McCoy to have a monster season. There's no reason for him not to have a monster season, barring injury. So those are three guys that I look at and I'm like, man, they have to step up and do it. They have to make it happen.
Yeah, and I was just going to say back to Mark's point earlier about, you know, just adding to the defense as far as what we did in this offseason. You look at this team, the whole team is coming back from last year as far as starters go. You bring all 22 starters back, but you added group and you upgraded your depth, which is very important. And I think that is what's going to make this team better, and eventually, or hopefully, it's going to get them over the hump and into the playoffs, which I think is going to happen this year as long as we stay healthy. But the depth overall is just better. And I think it's a more balanced roster. That's what I was talking about, Gene, last week. I think as far as top to bottom, it's a more balanced roster from offense to defense. And it's probably the most balanced roster we've had in a long time, at least since 2002, Super Bowl this year. But it's just a more complete roster. I think, you know, top to bottom, don't really have any holes, and that's the beauty of it. And that's what is going to be a great training camp this year to watch. And I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, and I want to, you know, I'm glad you brought up balance, and we talked about this sort of last week in the chat. You wrote a really good article about the Buccaneers having a very balanced team, and I was wondering, can you kind of talk to the fans about, you know, what you're seeing as far as balance on this team?
Yeah, I mean, I look back at like the mid '90 teams where it was just very heavy defensive as far as the talent goes. And we never really had that offensive firepower on the other side. Yeah, we had work done in Allstott, but that was pretty much it. I mean, and you look at the defensive star power that we've had through the mid '90s all the way up to the late 2000s. When we got into the Dominic years, it ran into a shitstorm pretty much. It was just pretty much nothing there. So now, and just the way Jason Light has transformed this roster in a short amount of time, and you have talent on both sides of the ball now. You have an offensive star power with Mike Evans, Jameis Winston. You got a Deshaun Jackson, a solid young offensive line. And then on defensive side, you got pretty much three stars in Brent Grimes, Gerald McCoy, Levante David, Quan Alexander. So I just feel the overall balance of the roster is there, especially star power. what you got to have in this league to be successful. You look at the big teams in this league, they all have it where they have defensive stars and they have their offensive stars, but they all complement each other. And that's what I was trying to get my point across on that.
You know, what's really awesome that you say that. If you noticed last year, and I know you guys will agree with me on this, the Buccaneers defense was able to go out and get stops and consistently get stops toward the back end of the season. You saw a lot of stops, 3 and outs, where 3 and outs were killing us. And we could not get teams off the field. And now you look at this team and what they've been able to do. They're learning how to win. And I know that sounds, I throw a lot of cliches out there, but they are actually learning how to win and close these games out. And that's what we need. We need this team to be able to come into next season or the season coming up. And when it's the fourth quarter, hey, we got to go out there and produce. We got to put this team away so that we're not having to worry about this. We have to defend Raymond James Stadium, that kind of thing. And that's what we hadn't seen for a long time. And I think that we are just seeing the glimpses of what we could potentially see this season. And Mark, what are your thoughts?
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to add about the balance of the team. So since we're sticking to defensive side, let's think about the defense. So if you look at the defensive line, we are so balanced in the amount of pass rushers as we have to rush stoppers. So like the size is there now. Like we have Michael Golson on the edge as well as Spence. So that's on one side. Then you look at the other side, Jack Smith, he had his ACL, but he was a hell of a pass rusher. He's a pass rush specialist, is what he is. So Robert Ayers, run stopper, plus he can rush the passer. So it's both ends are backed up. They both can do what you want them to do. And then in the middle, you got Joe McCoy, you got Clinton McDonald, you got our new guy, Swaggy, Chris Baker, big boy. I can't wait to see what he's going to do in the middle. And like, he's not just a big man. Like I remember him talking about him in Penn State, how he wanted to get back to being a 4-3 tackle where he can be quick and moving inside and going after the pass rusher. And I was watching him against the Bengals last year. He tore it up. He had 3 guys on him. He's still going towards Dalton. So I can't wait to see what he has to bring.
So basically it's like it's going to be pick your poison. You got Joe McCoy on one side, and you got Chris Baker on the other side.
Right, and that's your D-line. And not to mention Stevie T, so another big run stopper. Yeah. And then your linebackers, right? So you got your pass rush and your run stoppers. And then linebackers, you got speed with Quan, David, and then you got your rush stoppers with Beckwith, which to me I was like, why the heck did we get him? But if he serves a role, he serves a role. And let's see what Devontae Bond can do. I saw him in some clips from some of the mini camps. He's looking pretty quick and he's looking bulky too. So we need that. We need size as linebackers. And I hope Devontae Bond shows up and does something because he's a Jason Light pick. They all decide to show up. So let's see what he could do. And then safeties and corners. There's nothing but depth in there. Tandy was a backup last year. He's my number 1 safety right now, and he's playing lights out. Tandy.
And let me ask you this while we're talking about Tandy, Mark. I want to ask you about him. Do you feel like he's never gotten a chance to start to compete for a starting position? Because when I look at Keith Tandy when he was drafted, somebody was always over him. They had always handed somebody the ball and said, hey, this is your position to lose. He's never gotten a chance to genuinely compete for a starting position. Even when Schiano had him in there, he really never got a chance. You saw flashes in camp, but you never got to see him compete for that starting position. And I feel like this guy, and I've always said that, why doesn't he get a chance? He always sticks around and he's always there. And I'm just always wondering, well, why doesn't he get a chance to get more snaps to see what he can do? And, he got a chance to get this starting position. He's one of the few Bucs players that I've seen that was not a starter, had a chance to be a starter, and took advantage of being a starter to hold on to his position. And with this team, there have been a lot of opportunities, but you just haven't seen it. Do you feel like he's really never been given the opportunity to genuinely compete for a starting position?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, because we have had a lot of higher drafted talent. It shouldn't matter.
I'm
But
talking
still,
about
like,
since his being drafted.
yeah. So I'm saying like Mark Barron's been in front of him. Like McDougal jumped ahead of him. Like a lot of people jumped ahead of Tandy. Like Tandy was more of a special team specialist with us. Like he was always backup. He'd make little plays, like random end zone plays. I always see him making picks in the end zone. I don't know how he does that. But like I think he just had the perfect timing of the perfect system, perfect timings, perfect situation, everything falling together where he was like, damn, I get this defense. I I know where I need to be, and I know the teams that I'm facing. Like the Saints, he was all over the place every time. Panthers, all over the place.
Right.
Like he knew these teams because he's been around them for so long, so he knows their tendencies. And he showed up against the Chargers, so that's where it's like, holy crap, he does know this defense. It's not just because we play these teams twice a year, every year. He even showed up the first game he started against the Chargers and
Right.
won the game for us, sealed it shut for us. So it's like I think it's a little bit of he finally stepped up to the occasion and like, oh, I know this defense, I'm going to show I know it, and I just happen to have the perfect opportunity to do it. It's not necessarily that he was the best, but he took the opportunity and he ran with it. And I think he is the best safety right now.
Mark, I'm sorry, Michael, your thoughts?
Yeah, I was just going to agree with Mark. I mean, I think it's just the maturation of a player. I think the way he's, sometimes players are late bloomers, and I think Keith Tandy, like Mark said, just found the perfect opportunity, the perfect match for his skill set, and which allows him to be more aggressive as a player. Kind of plays into what he does best. And you look at Mike Smith and finding strengths and hiding people's weaknesses. I mean, Keith Tandy is a perfect example. I mean, he's found what he does very well, and he's taken off with it. It's very impressive to see, and just his overall knowledge of the game has improved. His film study, just he anticipates so well. I mean that that game against the Saints. I mean, he was there before the play was even happening. I mean, it was a thing of beauty to watch. Me and Mark talk about all the time where. I mean, Keith Tanny's in the backfield before the ball snapped. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah. And again, he's another guy that I'm really looking forward to this season. Well, guys,
Sure.
We've got a lot of questions here in the chat, and I definitely want to make sure that I get everybody involved because I appreciate people, taking the time to interact. And what I'm going to do right now is go through some of the questions here. And Eric Moreno was asking your thoughts on Noah Spence this season. And just kind of wanted to get you guys' thoughts, both of you. I'll let Mark, I'll let you start, and then we'll go with Michael.
Oh, sky's the limit. I mean, this is the first time we've had like a superior athlete on the edge, and his body's right. He's lost weight, looks chiseled. If you see any of his pictures on Instagram, the guy has his head down. He's not. You never see him in the newspaper. Nothing about his drug allegations and everything. Any from the past, all that's gone. It's you just see him head down, knowing where he needs to go, and everyone else on the team talks good of him. There's no one talking bad. Like I'm expecting a 10 sack season. I mean, he probably expects a 15 sack season, but at least 10. That's what I'm saying. Mike?
Yeah, I mean, Noah Spence was pissed off last year. He expected much more out of himself, and unfortunately, he got hurt. He got the shoulder injury, and he had to play with a torn labrum most of the year. And for him to do what he still did, I mean, causing havoc in the backfield is just a testament to his character and what kind of player he can be and will be. But he was expecting 10 sacks last year, and things I've been hearing about Noah Spence so far this offseason. Robert Ayers loves him. I mean, he can't talk pretty much every time I interact with him on Twitter, or you see him talking on Twitter. So I expect big things. I think he can be a 15 sack guy. I think he can take that kind of jump that Vic Beasley took in his career. He's down to 240 pounds. He's in that 245 range. I think he's going to be a very similar player to a Robert Mathis. Not as big as Robert Mathis, but just that speed off the edge, I think, is very impressive. And his hand placement. I mean, his hand placement is so precise. Just the way he can balance himself off that edge and turn the corner. It's always on the right point. I mean, his technique is so solid right now, and it's just going to get better with more knowledge he gains and more experience he gets against these tackles he goes against. So yeah, I mean, sky's the limit for this kid. I'm very excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing to keep in mind is he played injured last season. So
Exactly.
I'm excited to see this guy at 100%, what he's capable of doing just with his limited abilities last season, and what he's able to do this season should be really exciting to see.
Can
And
I add one more thing on that?
yeah, absolutely.
No, just because like a majority of everything I do on Robust Talk is all video. Like I just look game tape, put it up. What I see, I put up and describe to you what I'm seeing. So why I say he's a supreme athlete, the fact that how much he can bend while accelerating through the turn is incredible. We don't have that. We have people where they run into the tackle and they get stopped, get stoned. He literally, with hand placement, will get under these guys' arms and is accelerating through these guys, like around, because they can't stay with him. That's what I mean by an athlete. Like the guy, he's slippery and strong at the same time. Like Seattle game, he dominated. They had to start doubling him. That's why McCoy started getting in there every damn time. Like even against Dallas, Tyrone Smith, right, the left tackle.
Yeah, I think that's
the guy's a freak. He's a mutant. He still gets around him. The guy has 9 foot damn long arms, it looks like. But still he gets around him. Yeah, he pushes him out of the way, but still
his first step is ridiculous.
Yeah. And it's not just the speed. Like he is an athlete, but it's just like he said, hand placement, bending, getting under the arm, like swimming, like holding that arm up there so that arm of the tackle is not staying on him. He's pushing it off as he's accelerating through the play. And like we've never had that in a while. Like usually guys will just sit there and fight hand placement with the tackle. This guy is a speed edge rusher. Like he's something special. That's why I'm expecting at least 10.
Yeah, and we haven't seen that here in Buccaneer land for a long time. So it's something that we're really looking forward to seeing.
And also that's why it's exciting if Jack Smith can be healthy, because he can do the same thing. I mean, that guy's another athlete that can rip through the edge, and his technique is pretty good as well. And I mean, the time when those two were healthy and on the field, they combined for, I think it was 4 sacks last year against the Cleveland Browns. I know it was preseason, but I mean, they were dominating off the edge, and pretty exciting to see them on the field this year. And hopefully they both can stay healthy throughout the season, because that's going to be quite the tandem. You're not going to be able to stop it.
Yeah. Eric Moreno had another question, and I'm going to jump to the other side of the ball. He was asking about, where was Godwin projected to go? Was he projected a first round pick, Chris Godwin, or do you know? Because it's kind of weird that he fell into the Bucs' lap where he did, but I was thinking that he was like a projected first round pick as a wide receiver.
Can we take that one? I mean,
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Mark.
He honestly wasn't, just because of his quarterback play, because his production dropped from his sophomore to junior season. So he wasn't a first round pick because of that, but that shouldn't be the reason why. His quarterback just couldn't throw him the damn ball accurately. So if you look at all of his passes, he's having to jump awkwardly to make a catch. Like the USC game, every one of his catches were him torquing his body to catch the ball.
Like so Mike Evans with Johnny Manziel. Yeah.
Yeah. So his numbers went down, but he was still making miraculous catches, making the right moves and going the right places and jumping up for balls. So because of quarterback play, he dropped. He fell. But he should have still been like a second round, late second, but we got him at the third.
Yeah.
I mean, I think where we got him was perfect, but a lot of people may have said first round, but just based on how you play the draft, Jason Light does it again, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael.
No, I completely agree. I think he fell. He was projected mid-second round. I thought he had a chance to go in that 50 range, right where we took Justin Evans. So I was kind of surprised he was there at 84. But again, you look at the overall depth of the draft. You had a lot of defensive players go in that second round, mixed in with offensive line. So just the way the draft fell, it fell perfectly for the Bucs, and they got 2 steals in O.J. Howard and Chris Godwin. So just another excellent job by Light and his staff.
Yeah. And guys, I'm excited about Chris Godwin. That's another guy that I'm really looking forward to seeing. When you look at game film on college players, you can't really look at measurables. You have to look at behaviors. And when you continually see the same thing over and over and over again, you can kind of get an idea, negative or positive, that's what you're going to get. And what I've seen from Chris Godwin is a guy that's, he knows where his feet are when it's time to catch the ball in bounds. He does very well. His hand, when you talk about hand placement for a defensive end, getting a defender off of you, his ability to get those guys off of you and get that first step. I mean, he's not as fast as some of the other guys, but what he was able to accomplish, throughout his career, I thought that was a great pick for us, a very solid pick. And I know I've talked about this in previous podcasts, but when you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and what they've had to deal with outside of Mike Evans being your starter, Vincent Jackson being the second wide receiver, third wide receiver being Adam Humphries, and then a huge drop off after that, I think that this is what you need is a wide receiver that can come in and compete and put pressure. Not that, I'm not saying that Adam Humphries has lost his position. I'm just saying that now you've got more solid wide receivers that are going to come in and be able to contribute to this team.
Yeah, definitely. It's just, like I said earlier, it just builds that competition, and it just helps Adam Humphries become a much better player. It's going to help Chris Godwin. But as far as you're talking about getting off the line of scrimmage, I mean, Chris Godwin is a very physical player. The way he plays is very physical, and I laugh at the comparisons. People say, "Oh, Kenny Bell." I'm like, no, he's not Kenny Bell. Kenny Bell was not physical at all.
No,
the guy couldn't get off a 2-hand press. I mean, this is. I mean, there's no comparison. I mean, Chris Godwin is way more physical. He's got way more speed, I think, within his route running. He's just quicker overall. So, and I look at Godwin and I wrote an article about mismatches. I mean, Godwin's going to give us the ability to play Mike Evans or Deshaun Jackson in the slot, and that's just going to make us much more dangerous. But yeah, I mean, you look at the overall receiver depth, it's just overall better because those guys to be at their very best, and that's what you want, and that's the key right there. It's just going to make everyone better, definitely. Top to bottom. Yep.
Rocco was asking. Oh, go ahead.
One more thing I wanted to add about Godwin. Yeah, since we finally get to talk offense, right?
Yeah.
Godwin, literally, jumping off what Mike said, physicality. Ask Jabril Peppers how Chris Godwin can block. The guy does not, and he finishes block. He's like a lineman. Yes. Like he'll literally drive you to the ground. He doesn't. He is all about football, and I love it. Like I was watching some game against Wisconsin too. He's like driving guys still into the end zone, and the plays behind him, he's still going. So like he's almost like has the everyone says like the Sweezy mentality where he's going to keep going until he hears a whistle.
Yeah,
like
and a little bit.
And then you said he wasn't. Yeah, and you said he wasn't that fast. I'm like 4.42, Gene. Damn. Come on now. I mean, maybe come on. He was actually known for more speed. 4.42 is pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. and again, people forget he can't really show it on film because he didn't have the quarterback play. I mean, he had to slow down
but that's what I'm saying. I mean, if you're looking at the game film, I mean, he's not getting a chance to go deep or anything like that. You see what I'm saying? He just
no. Oh yeah, the passes are on.
He wasn't able to. Yeah, exactly. He wasn't able to show it.
I just had to add that for him.
Now, yeah, of course, man. Of course. Yeah. Hey, call me out if you need to. And I want to get onto some of these other listener questions. Rocco was saying, how many TDs will Jameis throw this year, and how many yards? That's always tough. Again, you never know. I wouldn't even begin to know. I mean, he's had
we were talking about this last night.
Literally last night.
Yeah. We had he's had the 4,000 yard passing, in consecutive years. That's pretty exciting. And you consider he didn't have a running game to speak of last season, and he was limited on wide receiver play. and then his top tight end gets hurt towards the end of the season. I thought he had a heck of a season. So I will say I can't give a specific number, but the sky's the limit. I mean, when you've got a full complement of weapons and everybody's healthy, it's hard to tell. I mean, and another guy that we haven't really talked about is Charles Sims. Charles Sims will be healthy. And it's another guy that, you can throw the ball to out of the backfield. So there are a lot of weapons for him to choose Jameis to choose from to really stretch the field. And hopefully, we can get some points in the red zone this year.
Yeah.
Love it.
So,
Love it.
I don't know what you guys think about that, but just kind of, it's kind of hard. I don't even want to put a number on that. So I'm going to leave that to you guys.
Yeah. I mean, me and Mark were talking about it last night. I mean, we're pretty much thinking 5,000 this year. We're thinking 5,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, around that number. So I think anywhere between, I think he can hit 5,000. I mean, weapons to do it. I mean, to do 4,000 with the weapons he's had in the past. I mean, he's got a massive upgrade in weapons this year. If as long as he has time back there, which he's had in the past, but no one's been open because no one can get separation. So,
right.
I think 5,000 is realistic this year, and I think he'll definitely break 30 touchdowns just because of the guys on the field.
Targets in the end zone, right?
Yeah.
Size in the red zone. We're gonna win every time.
Yep.
You would hope.
All right.
All right. Amazement 717 says, since we do not have a rivalry with anybody's, will the Falcons be our rival? I see it will be a 2-team race in the division in years to come. I don't know. I hate the Falcons personally. I don't even bring them up too much. But
I think we have plenty of rivals. I think the Falcons are a rival. I mean,
I always thought Carolina's a rival. I mean, just having to deal with Cam Newton year after year. I mean, and just to me, that's kind of a rival. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's not like the NFC North was, where I hate Detroit, and I really hate Green Bay, and I wish Green Bay would fall in the water or something like that. I still hate Green Bay to this day, and there's no joke. I mean, the fist fights I got into at the Big Sombrero, statute of limitations is up, by the way, so I can say this. The fist fights that I got into at the Big Sombrero, I can tell you, I hate Green Bay to this day. So there's no secret there. But with changing divisions, I don't know. I just don't really. Other than Atlanta, I just hate Atlanta. I love it when they lose, and I love it when they lose in a big way, and I love it when they lose in the Super Bowl. So, I'm good. I'm good with all this.
Only team you hate more is the Patriots.
Yeah.
Just about.
All right, I'm going to go down some of these other questions. So we got to the Jameis Winston question. Okay, Rocco was asking who will start at safety.
All right, can I jump on that real quick?
Yeah, please do.
Take it, Mark.
It's all you, man.
If it's not Tandy and Conti, I don't know what to say. If Evans starts game 1,
it won't happen.
It must be because he had literally the best training camp, and Conti and Wilcox both got hurt. He literally needs at least a few games just to get used to the system. They told him that he needs to start talking more too. If you aren't even communicating to begin with, come on, let's get on the roll. Yeah, you may be a great athlete. I love that you're a great athlete, but you got to learn the system just like Conti did. He's going to be a Conti, I think. Conti used to be a big hitter. Now he has to use his head. So it's
right.
I'm happy with what Evans can bring. Hell yeah, I want you to knock everyone's head off. Do it. But
I want to still be able to cover a tight end or a running back or something, We need that.
It better be Tandy Conti, in my opinion.
Yeah, there you go.
Wilcox is just another big hitter too.
No, I agree with Mark. I think, I look at Evans kind of in the same way I look at Ryan Smith. I think they're just raw players right now, and they need time to develop. And Ryan Smith got that year last year, and I think he's definitely more ready now to get on the field. And I think that's a guy to look out for to make an impact. But I just think Justin Evans just needs some time. I think I think he definitely needs to spend the first half of the season on the practice field and, get mental reps more so than playing on the field. And I think maybe in the second half we start to see him more as a rotational safety. But I agree with Mark. I think Conti and Tandy are your best bets right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazement 717 asked, who will be the next Buccaneer Hall of Fame past or present? The way they're talking about Rondé Barber, I'm kind of scared that he may not get it first time around. I mean, I think his stats would put him there, but I don't know, just everything that I've kind of read and listened to, I'm kind of worried. I would like to see him go first time. I think what he's done in his career should definitely put him in the conversation for it. But again, I'm just not sure. But that would probably be the next guy that I would consider.
Lynch missed it last year, right?
Yeah, Lynch missed it last year, unfortunately.
I mean, it's either Lynch or Barber, right? They're the only other two that are up.
Yeah.
I'd
love to see a Simeon Rice get in there. I mean, he's well.
What is wrong with that? I don't get that.
Yeah. I don't. That would again, Rondé Barber would be my choice, and I think it would be well deserving if he were able to get in.
What's the stat that he has only by himself? He's like the only cornerback to have. And it's like, is it like 20 sacks, 20 interceptions or something like that?
Yeah, some interceptions and sacks or something like that.
I think he's got 30 sacks, 30 interceptions, something along those lines.
Something like that.
God.
Yep.
That's incredible, man, for a back to do that, D-back to do that. Okay, here's a question for both of you from Matty SOP. Will Winston use play action more this year, or year with our new speed at wide receiver?
Go ahead, Mike.
What up, Matt? How's it going? He's a good friend of ours. Yeah, I think play action is going to be very, very important. It's pretty much what our offense goes off of. I think it's going to be utilized better this year just because of the speed we have with Deshaun Jackson and Godwin and Mike Evans. Because this team is a run team first. I mean, we like to run the football. That's what Coach Cutter wants to do. Our offensive line is designed to run the ball. So I think there's going to be definitely more play action. You're going to see that. And Winston is at his best when we have play action involved. So definitely, for sure.
He definitely sells it real good. So, I mean, that's one of the things I enjoy about him is he may put the ball in a running back's stomach, but he pulls it out and he's going to get it wherever it needs to go. So the next question I have here, Amazement 717, who will be the star of Hard Knocks, or who is everybody going to talk about on Hard Knocks this year? And Amazement was saying Ali Marpet, Quan Alexander, and Jameis. I'm thinking the big story will be Doug Martin, personally.
There's gonna be a lot of storylines.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is everyone wants to see Winston, who this guy is. Yeah. Quan's gonna be sitting there yelling left and right. I love him. You gotta love him. Like,
yeah.
Oh my! And you got Donovan Smith too. He's a character too. Him and Marpet on their show, on their radio show, they're funny together. Who else is a good character? Doug Martin's going to be a big. They're going to make him like with the music coming down stuff like, oh, the drug allegation against Doug Martin. Like, and it's like, oh God.
Yeah.
He can't play. Dun. Like, come on.
You ever seen the Incredible Hulk, the TV series? You know that music that they play at the end of the show, the slow music, and it's like everybody's like chiming out.
How's it?
That's dun 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 dun.
That's probably what's gonna happen with anything Doug Martin related. Sadly.
Yeah.
But Quan and Winston, I think.
I think Quan's going to be the star. I think he's going to be the highlight of Hard Knocks. a guy that wants to get really. I mean, I think he's going to get finally noticed this year, but Hard Knocks is going to put it over the top just because they're going to see what this guy's about, and just his overall passion of football is going to come out, and it's going to be a joy to watch for sure.
Yeah, Robert Jonas had a really good question. Who are we looking at kick returner? And while you're talking about kick returner, what about punt returner? Who are we talking about here?
No idea.
Come on, guys. You gotta have some idea.
Return still going to be probably Humphreys. He didn't do anything to lose the job last year.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And if
right,
I mean,
I don't know. With all the speed they've gotten since last season, do you believe that that's your guy?
Humphreys?
Yeah.
I mean, he's the safest option at punt returner. I'd say that. I mean, Justin Evans is a punt returner, but I wouldn't put him back there. I mean, Chris Godwin's not a punt returner. I don't think I ever saw him return a punt.
Mm-hmm.
The only guy, Huff? Let's see if he makes a team. He's electric when he's got the ball in his hand, but can he hold on to the ball?
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah, hopefully he does make a big improvement. I mean, I've seen him in pictures with Winston and stuff, but he's got to make the team first. I did like he does have that quick twitch about him, and I do like that, but he's going to have to make it, returning punts or returning kicks. But I don't even think I've heard of him returning kicks yet.
Yeah.
They had Levante David out there, and he ain't going to return a damn kick.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Next question. Tall Florida guy. Who will be the starting running back at week 1? Hey, that's pretty tough. That's Jacquizz Rodgers. I mean,
Jacquizz Rodgers.
only because, and that's only by default. That's only because Doug Martin suspended. Jacquizz Rodgers. It will be running back by committee. It won't. None of these guys that are behind Doug Martin are every down backs. You're going to have to rotate them in. They've already shown last year that they can't take that beating. So you have to use them wisely in order to keep them healthy enough to get Doug Martin back. And I think how this will work good for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is the fact that, and I mentioned this in podcasts before, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do not have a bye week until week 11. So you got to consider Doug Martin is going to miss these 3 games. I think he'll come back fresh. He'll come back healthy. And I think he'll be able to get the Buccaneers into the bye week to where they can, recover and get ready for the back end of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I think, as far as rotation, I think it's just more of guys playing in their roles. You look at Charles Sims, he's just a great change of pace back, and I think that's what he'll be asked to do. Utilize more out of the backfield as far as receiver, and then kind of same thing with McNichols. I think McNichols can bring more as far as a runner, especially inside, because his patience is there. It shows on tape. He's a very patient runner. Not very electric as far as a downfield, home run guy, to say the least, but he can get what's there, and that's pretty impressive. Committee those first couple of weeks, and then Doug Martin, I think, if his mind's right, I mean, he's one of the better running backs in this league. So,
hey, I'm on board the Doug Martin train. I have been since the offseason. I've always felt like he deserved another chance, and I'm glad that Jason Licht sees the same things that I saw, because when you have a back that's the number 2 back in the league, and he's your guy when his mind is there and he's healthy, he's your guy. I'm definitely up for giving him another chance to see what he can do. But this is his season to show whether he deserves to be with the team or he deserves to get cut. So that's kind of where I'm at with him.
I agree, but he does have the talent. I mean, he was a first-round pick, and he shows it. I mean, even though he had a terrible year numbers-wise last year, and then the suspension, but still, what he did with how bad we're run blocking, some of the moves he does, like the stop and goes and just jump inside side cuts, like Jacquizz Rodgers wasn't doing that. I'm telling you. Like it's something where he's a special player.
He's a special back. He's actually an every down back when he's healthy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I hope his head stays on straight, but it's just kind of wait until he gets there, pretty much.
Yeah, most
Rodgers
definitely.
just hold it down until he gets there.
Yep, absolutely. I think that it can happen too. I think there are enough weapons. I think the offensive line has improved enough to where, you know, this is a running game that can be successful.
I think that one's for another show. That's a long talk.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's a long talk.
There you go. All right. Couple more questions here. Who has more touchdowns, Cameron Brate or OJ Howard? I would say Cameron Brate, only because Jameis Winston has a chemistry with Cameron Brate already, and that's his guy. That's who he goes to because he's comfortable. He knows he's going to catch the ball, and he's not going to put the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a bad position. So definitely, that's the guy that it's going to be one of his main options outside of Mike Evans. And the fact that they've played together as long as they have, I think that you will see this. But I'm not taking anything away from OJ Howard. I feel eventually he'll get eased into things. But just for right now, I can't see any way that it's not Cameron Brate.
Plus, show it off, please.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about Cameron Brate. I mean, the guy is going to get. He's just got a special thing with Jameis Winston right now, and he's going to get more touchdowns because of OJ Howard. The attention that OJ Howard will draw, Cameron Brate's going to be wide open, I think, on most plays. So, I mean, he's going to get a lot of targets. So it's going to be good.
Yeah, that is a defensive coordinator nightmare. Which tight end do you? If you're running a 2 tight end set, how do you deal with that? I mean, you can't crowd the box. I mean you're going to really hurt yourself if you crowd the box.
And be scared. It's just yeah. I mean, you can't deal with it because it just sets up so many scenarios. I mean, you can put Cameron Brate and OJ Howard in a 2 tight end set, motion them out to wide, and you instantly become a 3 wide receiver set. You don't know what to do there. I mean, you can't stop that. Matches all over the field.
Most definitely. That's what's scary. What's scary to me is the offensive mind that Dirk Cutter has. And we haven't even scratched the surface on what this guy is capable of doing. Again, when he was the offensive coordinator in Atlanta, he didn't have all the weapons that he needed to run the offense the way he wanted to. And I stand by what I say. I look at when you lose a Tony Gonzalez, a first ballot Hall of Famer, and you don't replace that tight end position, and then your wide receivers are based on Julio Jones and Big Mouth. I can't think of that fool's name.
Roddy White.
Roddy White, Big Mouth, yeah, that guy. And that guy, and he was kind of on the decline, when right before Dirk Cutter left. So just imagine what he's got, how he's salivating with what he has to work with this season. And I know he's going to find a way to use all of these pieces. So it's something to really be excited about.
Right. Yeah, Roddy White wanted to come to the Bucs, but Dirk Cutter said, or Jason Light said, hell no. So he didn't want him.
Yeah, I wouldn't want him either. Yeah, he did the fan base a favor.
Yep.
I'd rather have Adam Humphries.
Savage.
I'd rather have EJ Biggers on wide receiver, to be honest. Dude.
Damn.
And that's just how I feel about Roddy White.
Hurtful.
All right, let me see if I can throw one more question in here. We've gone over the whole hour, but I definitely want to get this question is, what do you guys like or dislike about the schedule? I'll tell you what I like about the schedule is the back end of it. All these division rivalry games on the back end of the schedule, it really makes football exciting because you got to win these games. You have to win these games. And it really shows just how good your team is or where your team is in the grand scheme of things. If you can go out and win these big games against teams like in Atlanta, teams like an improved offensively Carolina Panthers, which I don't know what their offensive coordinator is going to be able to do with all the pieces they have. I don't think he's smart enough. personally, but that's for another show. And I'm not to knock the Carolina Panthers, but I just don't like their offensive coordinator. But I digress. And just kind of getting back to this, I'm really excited. I mean, you've got some big name games, the last 6 games of the season, so I'm excited about it. I think the NFL did a good job. The scheduling is perfect, and it really makes football exciting. You can't miss a week. You have to catch up the next week to see what's going to happen. It's that good book you can't put down.
Damn, you're good with those quotes, Gene.
It's popping my head. It's like a dryer. The dryer's going, man. I just like open the door and pull something out, that kind of thing. So, Well, yeah, go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
I'm happy we get to play the Jets again. I can't wait to hear that and Ray J. So we get 2 buys in a row. But I honestly, I say that hoping we just destroy the Jets.
My last experience with the Jets, I can't believe Geno.
I don't think I've ever since my birth liked the Jets.
I cried, man. I really cried. Geno Smith. I don't even want to say his whole name.
Just spit it out. No, but
Geno Smith.
No,
that's
but
how
like,
I felt. And I felt bad for Monte David, man. I mean, it just really did.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just did. It was disgusting. But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm just reminiscing of how much I drank after that game.
No, but like just that game. You like the back end South division games? That scares me a little bit. I guess it does make it more entertaining, so you have to watch. But it's like, damn, like that's drawing it all of it so close. I mean, I guess that's what you want. You want more TV ratings. Everyone's going to be watching. But to me,
you get to go up against the Atlanta Falcons. You have the Carolina Panthers. You have the Saints. You're showing the division how good you are. You go in and win those games, and that's what's important.
You're right. And I guess maybe one other game.
People will shut up about the Bucs. The Bucs go in and do what they need to do, take care of business on the back end of the season. People will shut up. I promise you. And all they need to do is go out and win those games.
That's all.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, if you want that respect here, this schedule has been custom made for the Bucs to go in. They've got to buy late in the season. They can go in and do some big things, coming off the bye week.
You're right.
Mm. Yeah. I just look at the Dolphins game. I mean, that's a big game. I think, a lot of people overlook that game, but team we're going up against week 1, playoff team, sets the tone for the whole season. So, I mean, that's my important game right there.
That's interesting you say that. I like the Dolphins. I like everything about the Dolphins with the exception of the quarterback. I don't really care for him. I think he's overpaid. Mm-hmm. And I think, I don't know. I think Fitzpatrick's better than he is, but there's that. No, seriously, all joking aside, I don't care for him. I don't think he's a poor decision maker. I think that he doesn't put his team in a position to win games. And that's just what I see from him, and that's what I've seen from him since he's come out. He shows the same attributes, the same poor decision making since he's been in the league. But again, he's in a great position. He's got a good running game that's to work with, and he's kind of been put himself in a good position. And you've got Donkey Kong Sue on the other side, and that defense and what they're capable of doing. So again, he's really put himself in a position to succeed. All he has to do is stop throwing interceptions and all these harebrained plays that he makes. So, that game is going to be a good game. I don't know. Are you guys going to Miami?
No, we wanted to, but
no.
Well, guys, I will be there for the Chicago Bears game.
Nice.
And I will probably go to the Saints game as well. But I just want to let you guys know that I will be there. We will do Buc What You Heard from Tampa, Florida at probably at like Press Box or something. I don't know. Let's see.
Hell yeah.
I'm working on it because I'm down for their wings always.
Yes. Yeah.
Press Box is my home away from home. If you know, anytime I can go to press box, I'm happy. I mean, if you needed to ever bribe me and you needed information out of me, I go to take me to press box and get me a couple of dozen wings and some beer, and I'll tell you anything you want to know. That's just how easy it is.
Best beer prices in Tampa. Damn.
Exactly. I'm always down for press box.
Right?
For the New Orleans game, or you going to the one in New Orleans, or
Tampa? No, I
okay.
love Ray J. I love Ray J with all my heart. I was a season ticket holder, and anytime I can support Ray J, I support Ray J. The only reason I'm going to the Cardinals games because it's in Phoenix, or Glendale or whatever you want to call it. So I'll be there. But guys, this has been awesome. Mark, why are you always a stranger? Whatever you have to do. I mean, if it's your wife, tell your wife you have to get on here and do this for an hour, and it's good. Everything will be good. I'll get you a hall pass if you need a hall pass. Well, I got you.
Yeah, I put her to bed early.
Exactly. Pour some wine in her juice or something, man. You got to get you back on here again, man.
Hell, I miss it. I love it.
Yeah, I love having you guys on here. So, Mark, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you. I'm gonna go ahead and shut this baby down.
Yeah, so you can get a hold of us at Real Bucs Talk on Twitter. RealBucsTalk.com. We're officially a .com now on your web address. You can also look. I don't know if you've noticed, we also have merchandise you can go look at on RealBucsTalk.com.
I actually rock that shirt.
Oh yeah, we have about 4 shirts right now, more coming. But we're excited. We're always going to be up to date on Bucs news, always looking up film, breaking down game tape, and we can't wait for the season to actually start because one of our aspects in our site are game breakdowns. So we're going to actually break down certain plays in the game and then show you why the game happened and why we won or lost.
Exactly.
So I can't wait.
Yeah, and it'll be great because once you break it down, you can come on here and you can talk to the listeners, and everybody will be educated just like we are, right?
Like yeah.
There you go, Michael Pless, the regular. Open invitation whenever you decide to come on. Just get the link and just show up. Take your shoes off, make yourself at home. Tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, man.
Yeah, everything that Mark just said. Follow us at Real Bucs Talk. Putting up, got some stuff I'm working on that I'm going to have up here probably within the next week. I'm going to really get into our training camp battles. I think this is going to be one of our better training camps that we've had in a long time. So if you guys can make it out to training camp, be sure to get out there. I'll probably be out there on weekends, out there as much as I can. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be good. I can't wait for the season. We're going to have a lot of stuff going on at our site, a lot of more media content. I'm going to be writing nonstop, so it's going to be pretty awesome. If you guys have any questions, you can always hit us up on Twitter. We're pretty much on there daily, talking with fans. So we just love talking Bucs football, and we just can't wait for this great season.
Yeah. All right. Well, Bucs fans, whether you carry a big stick or whether you watch Pewtercast or whether you down with What the Buck, we are one fan base, and we got to stick together as one fan base, win or lose. So if you get a chance to go and check your Tampa Bay Buccaneers out, any chance you get, go check them out. It's worth it because there are a lot of teams like Oakland or San Diego. They don't have a team anymore. Or in Oakland's case, their team has spurned them, but they're staying there until they get their stadium built. So that's even worse. All I'm saying is, not everybody can say they have a team in their city. So we really need to get in there and support this team and, show this team, that we're down to support them. Home field advantage, we can get that back just like we had in the late 90s, early 2000s, to where we could be, as fans, we could be the deciding factor in these games. So any chance you get a chance to go down and check out practice or check out some of the games, please do. And remember, regardless of how you looking at this team, if you're a fan, we're all fans and we all got to work together. So that's pretty much for me. And just remember, buck what you heard. And I'm out.